You're listening to NBC Sports Radio. Weekends. This is Speaking of Sports with Jim Daniels on NBC Sports Radio, where every day is game day. And now, it's Jim Daniels.
Good morning. Thank you for joining us on NBC Sports Radio and NBCSportsRadio.com. This is Speaking of Sports, where we take a slightly different look at the sports world and some of the people in it and the stories involved. Many of these NBC Sports radio stations beginning to take this program. We surely appreciate you being there listening as well. We start the program as we do many times with our friend, the sports professor. That's Rick Horrow, who is really a busy guy. I mean, boy, you travel more than just about anybody else I know, and you've got a pretty big event coming up this Friday. Before we get to the issues from the Horrow Sports Brief, why don't you spend just a moment and tell us about the Sports Mania's Digital Media Summit coming up this Friday in Miami?
Well, actually, we just had it. It's a Friday off, so it was really even better than you might have thought, although we're going to have other ones. The Knight Foundation, who is the kind of bastion of journalistic ethics, decided to get into this, and I was lucky enough to host it. We had all the big network guys there, including you guys from NBC Digital. We had the guys from Snapchat and FanDuel and DraftKings and all those people that sponsored this. You realize the Pew Research says that 2.1 billion people had at least one social account last year, 31% of all the web traffic, 66% of people go online at least twice a day for sports-related content, 57 million play fantasy sports, on and on and on. It's not going away. My daughter says, I don't want a TV for graduation. I don't need a TV. I don't use a TV. Give me some kind of screen. I'll watch it. So, you and I are old dudes. That's the bottom line. And so the Knight Foundation decided to have a conference to say, what are the journalistic standards? Where is it going? How do you make sure you protect the integrity of reporting and sources? Because now speed may be more important than accuracy for some people, and we got to make sure we do it the right way. So thank you for advancing the plug, but it's good for everybody. Good for you, good for me, good for the world.
Rick, let me ask you a question in regard to that. 57 million people playing fantasy sports. You've even had NFL players saying, "Hey, we want some of this FanDuel money, some of this cash." Is there a place where the average Joe can go invest? I mean, could you buy stock in one of these companies to try and buy in and get a piece of this exploding fantasy sports market?
Yeah, there are companies that are actually looking to look for investor financing. Now, it's kind of hard to describe, which ones and how and what they're doing, but there were a couple of companies on the panels that are emerging growth companies. It's interesting because all the big networks are doing it. You realize fantasy games with everybody, and then you got these other companies, and you got the smaller companies, and soon we're going to have everybody playing fantasy, and then everybody's going to be able to see if they want to invest in it, obviously, and we'll get into more detail on that. Sports Manias was great in this conference because they're the ones that provide the real-time app, as you know, to all of the teams, and they do it for everybody. So when somebody wants to look at their teams and see how they want to play fantasy better, there are apps now for that. Like there are apps to tell us, when to live and how to live and what to have for breakfast. Right. For you, how to look better. So some apps work and some obviously don't.
Obviously, the latter isn't working for me. Let's talk about San Diego. They're on again, they're off again. They're coming to Los Angeles. They're staying. Well, now the Chargers are critical of San Diego's proposal for the new football stadium. It's increasingly unlikely that deal is going to be reached down in San Diego, especially when you're talking about the city asking for 32% of the money to come from the public. They have said no over and over and over again to that. But this deal, $362 million from the Chargers, $200 from a loan from the NFL, $187 million in private seat licenses. But what does all of this mean in this rush to get to Los Angeles? We've even got a story this morning saying that this deal that Kroenke's trying to work on in Inglewood isn't going to work because of the flight path with LAX. But when it comes to the Chargers, I mean, they've been crying wolf for so long. Does anybody really believe that they're going to leave?
When you land at LAX, you see Hollywood Park, and so obviously there are people that are going to raise that issue. This is a story that keeps on giving because if you're a reporter or if you're involved, it breaks every day, and you're there, so you see it firsthand.
Yeah.
Here's the way it's going to go down. The LA situation will play a major role, and they may end up with two teams or none. If St. Louis or Oakland and or San Diego get their act together, then the incumbent is given every chance to win. But the between now and the end of the season, you're going to see stories, I would say twice a week, that say that San Diego needs more public money. They don't. Negotiations are going to be held in the papers. They're going to be held privately and everywhere else. September 11th is a day that the San Diegans have to have the issue on the ballot or not, or they don't get to vote on it before an NFL deadline. So that was a real deadline. St. Louis responded to their deadline, and they're looking like they're going to get $1 billion stadium on the banks of the Mississippi. And St. Louis and Oakland, true to the Davis regime, nobody knows what they're going to do. They have that joint venture in Carson they're looking at with the Chargers, but that's only one deal. This is a very exciting chapter in a very long book, and I'm going to write it. If you ask me who's going where, I don't know. We'll see. Keep asking.
Michael Jordan is a giant in the endorsement industry, and he just keeps getting larger. The University of Michigan next year is going to become the first college football program to be officially outfitted by Nike's Jordan brand subsidiary. The school in July signed that 15-year, $169 million apparel contract with Nike. That's the largest apparel deal ever for a college program. The school's basketball team also going to wear Jordan brand gear, one of 5 programs to do that. Michael Jordan, I mean, is he becoming the biggest endorser of all time? I mean, he's going past guys like Arnold Palmer, Muhammad Ali. I mean, can he become the all-time greatest endorser?
He can shoot better than those guys. You know, he's heading in the right direction, in that direction. And it's not just an athlete endorser. It's transcending. They're ambassadors. They're iconic. And, you know, Michael Jordan's all things to all people now. That $15-year, $169 million deal with Michigan is for the Jordan line. Not just the Nike line, one of 5 programs to do it. He's protecting his product, right? He has a lawyer group suing Dominance, the defunct market chain, for $10 million. Michael did an endorsement, didn't get the money, so here we go. Protect him, get it. Nike, Gatorade, Hanes brand. When he was in court, or his documents were, to talk about how much he makes, $100 million, I'll go slower because of the number, $100 million in sponsorships last year. $540 million, they say, he's got from 2000 to 2012. I don't really care if we compare him iconically to Muhammad Ali or some of the big guys or not. We're not holding a bake sale for him. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, especially not that guy. Now, I want to get this one in here before we run out of time. Marketing to women represents a huge growth opportunity for sports merchandise manufacturers, but I think it's good for some of the collegiate schools as well. Vera Bradley unveiled a new collegiate line featuring 15 different schools. The line is going to offer a tote, a backpack, duffel bag, a bunch of other things. The schools are included in this deal are Alabama, Ohio State, Stanford, just to name a couple of them. Rick, is this the kind of thing, just the kind of thing that these schools are looking for so they can help grow dollars out of women's sports and help them be a little bit more independent in the sports world?
I got 2 issues. One is with all the pay for play and to make sure that the Power 5 bid on superstar basketball and football players, you got to be able to get money from places. They're naming more stadiums after people. They're bringing more money in from donors. This is another example of athletic directors getting creative. That's A. B, which is really important. Guys, you're listening and you have a girlfriend or somebody out there that you care about and she is a fan, how about this one? How about buying her a handbag to the extent you can afford it that's a cool-looking one with the logo or the colors of the school on it? It doesn't get any better than that, and you might even be able to bring it to the game. How about that?
Hey, how about that if they actually let you into the facility with it? That would be some pretty cool stuff, right?
Man, I'm telling you, we're starting a new fad, guys. Get it for your sweetheart, and then bring a Vera Bradley handbag into the game and put your, foot long in there.
Rick, it's always great to catch up with you. Thanks for your time as usual. I know you're back on the road soon, but thanks for spending time with us this morning on NBC Sports Radio.
Better this week than ever, and better next week than this week.
All right, pal. We'll talk to you again soon. Yeah, next week we may even bring up the fact that the NFL has crashed through the $5 million per commercial barrier. Can you believe this? The NFL is already starting to sell commercials. Yeah, Super Bowl 50 is still 6 months away. CBS has sold a 30-second advertisement already for that Super Bowl. worth $5 million. $5 million for one spot. And that's up from $500,000 from just 1 year ago. NBC charged $4.5 million for some 30-second ads in last year's Super Bowl. Here we are just 6 months later, and they're already $500,000 up. The $5 million mark has been crashed for commercials in a Super Bowl. Absolutely amazing stuff. All right, hope you'll stay with us. We got a lot of stuff for you on the program this morning, not the least of which is Kevin McGuire, Jason Bonk, Josh Alper, all going to be with us. Stay with us, too. It's NBC Sports Radio and NBC Sports Radio's mobile app.
NBC Sports Radio.
Hi, this is Wayne Gretzky, and you're listening to NBC Sports Radio.